If you're over 60, there's one simple daily habit that might quietly be putting you at risk of a stroke, and it usually happens while you're fast asleep. No warning signs, no chest pain. You go to bed feeling completely normal, but by morning, something's not right. Maybe your speech is slurred, your balance is off, or one side of your body won't move. As a brain doctor, I've witnessed these cases too many times. And what's truly shocking is the cause. It's not smoking sugar or even lack of exercise. It's something many seniors believe is healthy vegetables. Yes, really vegetables. Millions of seniors across America fill their plates with greens every day, trying to protect their heart and brain. And while most vegetables are excellent for your health, a few, especially when eaten raw or in the wrong combinations, can quietly increase blood pressure, constrict arteries, and set the stage for dangerous blood clots that lead to stroke or even a heart attack. In this video, I'll reveal 5 common vegetables, ones you likely have in your fridge right now that may be doing more harm than good, especially as we age. If you care about staying independent, keeping your memory sharp, and avoiding a hospital bed, I urge you to watch closely. What you learn here could help you protect your brain, your heart, and possibly your life or the life of someone you love. Now, before we get started, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another health tip tailored for seniors. If you find this helpful, leave a 1 in the comments. If not, drop a 0 and let me know what you'd like to learn more about. Let's begin with the first vegetable, spinach. A green leafy food long considered a superfood. If you're over 60, you've likely been told it's great for your health. But few people realize that spinach, when consumed raw and in large amounts daily, such as in green smoothies or salads, can silently raise your stroke risk. Here's why spinach is high in oxalates, natural substances that bind with calcium in your blood. In younger adults, the kidneys usually clear these compounds. But in older individuals, especially those with even mild kidney issues, or who are slightly dehydrated, oxalate can build up and form calcium oxalate crystals. These tiny crystals can lodge in your blood vessels, stiffening them and narrowing the passage for blood flow. Over time, this can lead to artery damage, increased blood pressure, and blood clots, some of which can travel straight to your brain, causing a stroke. Let me share the story of Mr. Howard Ellis, a 77-year-old retired dentist from Pennsylvania. He ate clean, stayed active, and was proud of his routine. Every evening for 2 years, he blended the same green smoothie, raw spinach, banana, and almond milk. What he didn't know was that this healthy habit was gradually setting up a serious neurological risk, one that eventually sent him to the emergency room. "I thought I was feeding my brain," Howard told me. But one quiet morning, his wife found him slumped over the kitchen table, unable to speak with his right arm hanging limp. He had suffered a stroke. After running tests, we discovered abnormal calcium levels, stiff arteries, and a kidney filtration rate that had silently dropped below normal. The shocking part, it wasn't from sugar meat or even smoking. It was caused by the repeated daily intake of raw spinach, combined with age-related kidney decline and chronic mild dehydration. A routine that was meant to protect his brain and heart had turned into something dangerous without any warning. And here's the part that should truly make you stop and think. There were no signs of a heart attack, no chest tightness, no dizziness, no headache. Just a seemingly restful night's sleep while this silent threat built up in his bloodstream. Howard survived, but today he faces difficulty with both speaking and walking. With tears in his eyes, he said, "Doc, I thought I was doing everything right. This is exactly why I feel the need to speak out. Not everything that's labeled as healthy is right for every stage of life, especially when it comes to common combinations like blood thinners, diuretics, or calcium supplements. Even a food like spinach can tip your blood chemistry in a way that leads to real harm. So if you're over 60 and spinach is part of your nightly habit, whether in smoothies, salads, or green powders, please take a moment to reconsider. You don't have to give up healthy foods entirely. It's about learning how to prevent a heart attack or stroke by adjusting how and when we eat, especially as our bodies change with age. And if you thought spinach was surprising, you'll want to stick around because what I'm about to tell you about cucumbers might make you look at your refrigerator differently. If you're still watching and finding this eye-opening type 1, in the comments below to let me know you're here. Now, let's move on to the second vegetable that might be harming you in your sleep. Number 2. Cucumber. This crunchy, refreshing snack seems harmless, and in many ways it is. Low in calories, full of water, and often recommended for seniors trying to manage weight or lower blood sugar, cucumbers have earned a reputation as one of the safest vegetables around. But here's the catch: even cucumbers can quietly become a problem. Eaten in the wrong amount or at the wrong time, they may cause your blood pressure to fluctuate during the night. And that's not all. These hidden spikes can also starve your brain of oxygen and circulation, raising your risk of a stroke or even setting the stage for a future heart attack. As a brain specialist, I've seen how small, seemingly harmless daily habits can quietly create serious health risks, especially for older adults. Take cucumbers, for example. Most people think of them as a light, refreshing food. And they are, but the real concern isn't about what's in them. It's about when you eat them, how your body processes them, and the impact they have on your hydration, electrolyte balance, and blood pressure while you sleep. Here's what many people don't know: cucumbers are natural diuretics. That means they encourage your body to flush out water and sodium by increasing urine production. During the day, this might not be a big deal, but at night, especially in adults over 60 whose kidneys may not regulate fluids as efficiently as before, this can quietly lead to fluid loss. This matters because as we age, our arteries become less flexible, our nervous system slows down, and our brain becomes much more sensitive to changes in blood pressure. Now imagine what happens when you combine all of that with age-related dehydration and medications like diuretics, beta blockers, or blood thinners. Your blood pressure can drop too low during sleep, then suddenly spike in the early morning hours. These rapid shifts can damage blood vessels and create ideal conditions for a stroke or even what causes a heart attack, especially if a blood clot forms or a vessel in the brain ruptures during the rebound. Let me share the story of one of my patients, Mrs. Dolores Green. She's 81, a retired teacher from Ohio. She came to me complaining of early morning dizziness and episodes of blurred vision. When we looked deeper, we found she'd been eating cucumber slices every night as a light, healthy snack and drinking lemon water before bed to stay alkaline. What she didn't realize was that this routine was quietly disrupting her body's delicate fluid balance. Her blood tests revealed an electrolyte imbalance, and her overnight blood pressure readings showed something dangerous. Her pressure dropped too low during sleep, then spiked rapidly just before waking, a pattern that put her at serious risk. Then came the mini stroke. Her speech slurred, her face drooped. She was confused. Thankfully, it was temporary, but it was a terrifying wake-up call. Once we reviewed everything, it became clear her seemingly harmless cucumber snack, combined with her blood pressure medication, had set off a dangerous chain reaction. It nearly cost her the ability to speak. This is the kind of hidden risk that almost no one talks about. No one tells seniors that something as safe as cucumber can actually disrupt blood pressure and heart attack risk, especially when eaten by that moment at night when your brain is at its most vulnerable. And the worst part, you don't feel it happening. You just wake up feeling dizzy, or worse, you don't wake up the same person at all. So, next time you reach for cucumbers before bed, remember, in our 60s, 70s, and beyond, hydration is delicate and electrolyte shifts can be dangerous. Your blood pressure becomes a fragile thread and that thread is all that stands between safety and a sudden stroke. And speaking of foods that carry silent risks, what if I told you that one of America's most trusted vegetables could be quietly interfering with both your thyroid and your brain's blood flow? Let's talk about broccoli. 3. Broccoli. The brain food that might secretly disrupt your thyroid and starve your brain of oxygen. Most of us have grown up hearing the same advice. Eat your broccoli, it's good for your brain and heart. And in many ways, that's true. Broccoli is full of antioxidants, fiber, and essential nutrients that support overall health, especially in older adults looking to stay sharp and strong. But here's something that many seniors are never told in certain situations: even a vegetable as wholesome as broccoli can become a hidden threat. The issue isn't with the nutrients themselves, but with how broccoli interacts with your body, particularly your thyroid. Broccoli is part of the cruciferous vegetable family, along with cabbage, kale, and Brussels sprouts. These vegetables contain natural compounds called goitrogens, and in large amounts, especially when eaten raw, they can interfere with how your thyroid produces hormones. In younger people, the body usually adjusts. But if you're over 60, your thyroid is already slowing down with age. Add raw broccoli to that mix every single day, and you may unintentionally push your hormone levels into a danger zone. Here's why that matters. When thyroid hormone levels drop, it affects much more than energy. Your metabolism slows, your heart rate becomes erratic, and blood pressure may shift unpredictably. This throws off your body's ability to circulate blood efficiently, particularly to your brain. And that sluggish blood flow can lead to a blood clot, one of the most common signs of stroke, and even what causes a heart attack in the elderly. Let me introduce you to Mr. Arthur Blake, a 79-year-old retired engineer from Minnesota. Determined to take control of his health, he switched to a strict plant-based diet, eating broccoli every day, both raw and steamed, sometimes even in smoothies. At first, he felt energized, but after several months, he began to feel extreme fatigue trouble, focusing, and occasional numbness in his left hand. His family thought it was normal aging. Then, one morning, he collapsed while walking his dog. It was a mild ischemic stroke caused by a small clot blocking blood flow to his brain. After medical tests, we discovered Arthur had subclinical hypothyroidism, low heart rate, and signs of thickened blood, all of which quietly developed over time. His overconsumption of raw broccoli had suppressed his thyroid just enough to throw off his circulation, leaving his brain starved for oxygen. Though he survived, he now lives with partial weakness in his left arm and vision problems, daily reminders of a stroke that didn't have the usual warnings like chest pain, dizziness, or high cholesterol. It was a healthy habit gone wrong, and it nearly cost him his independence. So let me be crystal clear. Broccoli is not the enemy, but like many things in life, too much of a good thing, especially in the wrong form, can create serious problems. If you're over 60 and have a history of thyroid issues, low blood pressure, or are on medications that affect blood flow, eating raw broccoli every day may not be right for you. Your aging brain needs stability, not sudden shifts in blood chemistry. And if this surprised you, stay with me because next we'll talk about one of the most praised ingredients in every American kitchen. It's famous for being heart healthy, but when overused, it can thin your blood so much that even the tiniest blood vessel in your brain might rupture. You've probably used it this week. Let's talk about garlic. If you're still here and finding these health insights useful, I'd love for you to type 1 in the comments to let me know you're following along. It helps me create even more helpful content just for you. Now let's keep moving with something that's likely sitting in your kitchen right now. Point number 4, garlic. The natural cure that could thin your blood so much it may lead to a brain bleed. Garlic has long been considered one of the healthiest foods for older adults. Many people believe it's completely safe because it's natural. You've probably heard that it can help lower cholesterol, improve blood flow, and fight off infections. And that's all true. Garlic does have real health benefits. But here's the part no one tells you when it comes to garlic. More isn't always better, especially for people over 60. As we age, our blood pressure becomes more sensitive, and many seniors are already taking heart medications, blood thinners, or drugs for arrhythmia. In these cases, garlic can actually become too strong. It doesn't just thin the blood slightly, it can thin it so much that a small, fragile blood vessel in the brain could burst during sleep quietly with no warning and no pain. The real concern is a compound in garlic called allicin, not allisonin, as some might mistakenly say. Allicin is what gives garlic its sharp smell and its strong health effects. It reduces platelet aggregation, which means your blood has a harder time forming clots. That might sound helpful if you're worried about blood clots, but if you're already taking medications like aspirin, Plavix, or warfarin, this natural effect of garlic can amplify your medication, sometimes pushing your blood's clotting ability beyond safe limits. Let me share a true story. Mrs. Joan Whitmore, 84, was a retired piano teacher living in Oregon. She had atrial fibrillation, a common heart rhythm issue in older adults, and her doctor had prescribed warfarin to prevent stroke. Her dosage was monitored carefully, but she also started eating 2 raw garlic cloves every night after reading that it could reverse aging. At first, she said she felt great, but then came the warning signs: headaches, dizziness, nausea, and confusion. One evening, as she was brushing her hair, she suddenly collapsed. No trauma, no fall. Just a small blood vessel in her brain that couldn't seal itself. A scan confirmed a hemorrhagic stroke bleeding inside the brain. Her INR, a blood test that shows how thin your blood is, had jumped to a dangerously high level. Not because of a medication error, but because the raw garlic had intensified the effects of her warfarin. Joan survived, but her life changed. She now depends on a walker, needs daily speech therapy, and has full-time care. And her words still echo in my mind: I thought I was doing everything right. I never thought garlic could hurt me. It's food, not a drug. That's exactly the point. When you're over 60, food is no longer just food, it's chemistry. It can act like a medicine, or it can act like a poison depending on what else your body is dealing with. Garlic is not dangerous on its own, and in small amounts, it may even be beneficial. But if you're taking medications that affect blood clotting heart rhythm or blood pressure, garlic needs to be treated with care and ideally discussed with your doctor. Even a small habit like eating raw garlic every night can slowly tip your body's balance and increase your risk of something as serious as a stroke. A little here and there might be okay, but large doses every day, especially when combined with prescriptions, isn't just unnatural, it can be dangerous. And here's the twist: while garlic can make your blood too thin, there's another vegetable just as common that can do the exact opposite. It can raise your blood pressure, tighten your blood vessels, and quietly set the stage for a blood clot that blocks oxygen from reaching your brain. You may have eaten it recently, thinking it's good for your heart and brain. Let's talk about eggplant. 5. Eggplant. The overlooked vegetable that could quietly narrow your arteries and trigger a stroke. Eggplant is one of those foods that seems completely harmless. In fact, many people think of it as a healthy choice, and in many ways, they're right. Eggplant is low in calories, packed with fiber and antioxidants, and often included in meals designed to support heart health. It's even been called a brain food because it contains a compound called nasunin, known to protect brain cells from oxidative damage. But here's something most people, especially seniors, aren't told. Eggplant belongs to the nightshade family, and it contains a naturally occurring compound called solanine. In small amounts, solanine doesn't usually cause problems for younger, healthy adults. But for people over 60, particularly, those with poor circulation, chronic inflammation, or neurological conditions, even small exposures can create a slow, dangerous buildup. Here's what happens. Solanine can trigger vasoconstriction, which means it causes your blood vessels to tighten and narrow. When that happens in the brain, blood flow drops. And when blood flow drops, your risk for blood clots rises dramatically, especially during the night when blood pressure fluctuates more sharply. I'll never forget one patient, Mr. Franklin Monroe, 82, a retired railroad mechanic from Kentucky. He lived independently, was mentally sharp, and loved to cook for himself. One of his favorite meals was eggplant parmesan. He made it twice a week and was proud of eating what he believed was clean and heart-friendly. But over time, he started having subtle symptoms: headaches, cold hands, and tightness in his chest while climbing stairs. His doctor dismissed it as normal aging. But one morning, Franklin collapsed in his driveway. It was an ischemic stroke. A blood clot had blocked the blood flow to the left side of his brain. After reviewing everything we found, he had no history of high cholesterol, no smoking, and no diabetes. But his blood work revealed signs of vascular inflammation and a buildup of compounds linked to solanine sensitivity. His regular intake of eggplant and other nightshades had slowly narrowed his arteries, and the damage remained silent until one clot traveled to his brain. Franklin survived, but he now uses a wheelchair and lives with limited mobility, though his mind remains sharp. I still remember what he told me, Doc. I thought I was eating smart. I didn't know I was slowly cutting off my own blood supply. That's the key takeaway here. It's not just about whether a food is generally healthy. It's about whether that food is healthy for you at your age, with your medical history and medications. Eggplant isn't a poison. But in older adults, especially those with circulation problems, low blood pressure, or sensitive nervous systems, eating too much of it can quietly set the stage for a stroke. So, after hearing about these 5 vegetables, spinach, cucumber, broccoli, garlic, and eggplant, you might be wondering, if even healthy foods can be risky, what should I eat to protect my brain and stay independent? Great question. Let's now talk about the foods that truly nourish the aging brain in safe, natural, and effective ways so you can protect your memory clarity and quality of life for years to come. 6. So, what should you eat to protect your aging brain? After hearing about 5 common vegetables that can silently increase your stroke risk, it's understandable if you're left wondering, what's even safe to eat anymore? That's a valid question, and one that deserves a clear science-backed answer. Because here's the truth that often gets lost in the noise of health trends. Superfoods and supplements, your brain doesn't need hype. It doesn't need miracle pills or extreme diets. What it truly needs, especially after age 60, is real food prepared, simply eaten in the right balance and at the right time for your body's unique needs. I remember working with Mrs. Margaret Wilson, a 73-year-old retired school principal from Arizona. She walked into my clinic carrying a small suitcase of supplements and a heart full of frustration. I'm trying everything she told me. Vitamin D for bones, E for circulation, and a brain-boosting smoothie every night, packed with spinach, garlic, and eggplant. But despite all her efforts, she felt lightheaded every morning. Her memory was slipping, and her blood pressure kept spiking at night. What Margaret didn't realize was that her healthy routine, full of good intentions, was creating subtle chemical imbalances in her aging body. It was thinning her blood too much in some areas, thickening it in others. It was dehydrating her brain, disrupting her blood sugar, and even changing the way her medications worked. She was unknowingly creating the perfect setup for blood clots, microstrokes, and silent symptoms the kind that gradually steal your balance, your clarity, and eventually your independence. So we did something radical. We cleared out the clutter, the powders, the pills, the overwhelming health hacks, and we rebuilt her routine with simple, brain-friendly foods that truly nourish a senior's body. Her new breakfast: just a boiled egg and half an avocado for clean protein and healthy fats, a slice of whole grain toast for steady energy, a handful of blueberries rich in polyphenols that help reduce brain inflammation, and a glass of room temperature water to gently rehydrate the brain after sleep. Some mornings we'd add a few walnuts or a small piece of salmon packed with omega-3s that support brain health and stroke prevention. That's it. Simple, natural, balanced. Within a few weeks, Margaret's dizziness faded. Her memory became clearer. Her blood pressure returned to a safer range. She looked at me and said, "Doctor, I finally feel like I'm feeding my brain, not just filling my stomach." And she was right, because real food eaten the right way doesn't just fill you, it heals you. It doesn't create spikes, crashes, or silent damage. Instead, it gently supports your circulation, your neurons, and every part of your body that keeps you independent and sharp. But here's a word of caution. Even healing foods must be eaten with care. Timing matters, hydration matters, and if you're on medications, especially for blood pressure, cholesterol, or heart rhythm, then interactions matter too. What works? Wonders for one person might not work for someone else, especially if your body is inflamed, dehydrated, or dealing with a condition beneath the surface. Now that you've learned what to eat, there's one final and maybe most powerful truth to face, and it's this. It's not the food, the pill, or the exercise that protects your brain the most. It's your awareness, your understanding of how everything works together in your aging body. Because once you become aware, you stop guessing and you start healing. Let's talk about that, because this final message might just be the wake-up call that protects your brain, your memory, and your freedom. It's your awareness that makes all the difference. By the time you reach 60, 70, or 80, your body doesn't respond the way it did when you were 30, and that's not failure. That's nature. Your liver processes nutrients more slowly. Your kidneys filter fluids differently. Your brain becomes more sensitive to even the smallest shifts in hydration, blood pressure, and nutrient balance. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom written into your biology. But the danger begins when we ignore those changes and continue living like we're still young. And that's how most of the strokes in elderly patients I've treated began. Not from obvious risks like smoking, obesity, or high cholesterol, but from habits that appeared healthy on the surface. It was the green smoothie loaded with spinach, the evening cucumber meant to hydrate, the raw garlic clove taken while on blood thinners, the daily broccoli salad, the comforting eggplant dinner. All well-intended, all rooted in a desire to stay healthy, but all capable in the wrong context of triggering a stroke, a brain bleed, or a dangerous blood clot when the body's chemistry is already vulnerable. And the most heartbreaking part, these strokes didn't take health from people who were careless. They took independent speech memory and mobility from people who were trying their best. So here is my most sincere plea to you. Slow down. Be curious. Ask more questions. Don't wait for your body to scream. Start listening when it whispers. Read every label. Notice every small change. And please talk to your doctor before adding anything new to your routine, even if it's just a vitamin or a vegetable. Because sometimes the smallest change leads to the biggest consequences. You are not powerless. In fact, you are wiser now than ever before. And that wisdom, your ability to reflect, to learn to stay aware, is one of the most powerful forms of medicine you have. It's what helps you prevent stroke, naturally protect your brain, and live with clarity and strength. So please stay curious, stay cautious, stay alive. Your brain deserves that level of care. You deserve it. Because aging isn't about decline. It's about learning how to live smarter, more intentionally, and more fully. These lessons aren't meant to scare you. They're meant to empower you to protect your freedom, your independence, and your joy. Now I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you learned today that you plan to apply in your own life? Share it in the comments below. Your story could inspire someone else. Let's support each other as we navigate this journey of healthy aging together. If you found value in this video, please leave a 1 in the comments. If not, feel free to type 0. Your honest feedback helps us improve. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more trusted content to help you stay healthy, sharp, and confident as you age. Thank you so much for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms with clarity, courage, and care.